Level 1. You pin the phone to your shoulder and hold your car door with your other hand because the wind on the parking lot keeps slamming it into your knee, and on the banking app the number is glowing red. Negative $312. Across the glass is a payday loan place. To the right, a tow truck is already hooking up somebody's old Honda, and something clicks unpleasantly in your chest at the thought that yours could be next. Right then, a guy from your last warehouse shift texts you. They need people on phones. Cash at the end of the day, no background check. You drive to a low strip mall off the freeway, walk past a nail salon and an empty insurance office, and step into a place with no sign on the door. Inside, there is cold light, plastic chairs, a cheap coffee maker, a box of headsets, and a whiteboard with one sentence written in marker. Do not improvise. Keep your voice even. They hand you a badge with someone else's name on it, a wrinkled page of lines to read, and a spot against the wall. The supervisor in a hoodie does not look at you for long. He just asks how much you owe for rent, and when he hears the number, he nods like he understands you better than your family does. You put on the headset, the wire catches on your collar, and your palm goes wet. The first call falls apart. On the second one, they tell you to go to hell. On the third, an elderly voice does not hang up right away, and you stop hearing the words. All you hear is your own heavy breathing in the microphone. Someone laughs behind you. A stapler snaps nearby. The script flashes on the monitor. You read it, swallow the shame, do not look out the window, and stay until the end of the shift, because by evening your landlord is going to text you about the overdue rent again. Level 2. In the morning, you climb the same sticky stairway to the same office, only faster now, as if you are hurrying not toward the place that disgusts you, but toward the place that can hold disaster off for one more week. A headset is waiting for you on the desk, along with a paper cup of black coffee and a new script. Shorter, harder, no wasted words. The supervisor knocks his knuckles against the monitor. Not pity, tempo, not conversation, control. You start the program, see the columns with names, states, and ages, and the grid alone makes your stomach turn, like these are not people in front of you, but doors you have to break open with your forehead. By noon, the air conditioner dies, and the office starts to smell like dust, microwaved noodles, and sweat. A girl 2 desks over takes off a shoe and rubs her heel. The guy by the window is tearing a piece of paper into tiny squares. Everybody wears the same pressed-down hunger on their face. On the 5th hour, you finally manage to carry a call all the way to the green line in the system. You do not see the person. You only hear the way he breathes, asks you to repeat yourself, then goes quiet longer than he should. The supervisor gives you a thumbs up. Somebody slaps your back. At the end of the day, they hand you an envelope. Inside is more than you used to make in 2 warehouse shifts. You walk out to the parking lot, sit in the hot car, count the bills on the steering wheel, and notice that your fingers are shaking harder than they were in the morning. But on the way home, you still stop for gas, pay down part of the card balance, and buy real food instead of noodles. That night, when your ex texts to ask where you suddenly got the money, you stare at the screen for a long time and type one word. Sales. Level 3. Now you have a rhythm. Morning means a cheap energy drink, the freeway, gray carpet, and the squeak of an office chair. Day means voices in the headset, timers on the screen, dry commands from the supervisor, who moves between the desks so quietly it feels like he is gathering other people's shame with his bare hands. Evening means cash in your pocket, late takeout, and trying to look like somebody who has everything under control. You pay off the overdue rent, pull the warning notice off your door, carry grocery bags into the apartment, and for the first time in a month do not count coins on the table. But life does not get easier. It just changes its smell. Now, your hands smell like headset plastic and the inside of your car, where you sit after the shift and do not start the engine right away because other people's voices are still humming in your head. This week, people call back for the first time. Not the victims, their relatives. Angry, quick, young voices. One woman asks your name so calmly that the back of your neck goes cold. You hang up, scratch the number off the sheet, go into the bathroom, splash your face with water that is too cold, and see in the mirror that your jaw is twitching. When you come back, there is a new list on your desk and a note. Fewer pauses. You sound guilty. That evening, your mother sends a photo of your stepfather's medication bill and writes, "If you can help at all." You open the envelope, separate part of the money for her, and hide the rest in a shoebox. And that is the moment it hits you. You are no longer just lying into a phone. You are starting to build your life around this money, and that makes it stick to your fingers harder than sweat. Level 4. A month later, they move you into a different room. Not the main floor, but a back office behind a coated door, where the desks are cleaner, the monitors are bigger, and people talk more quietly. This is not where the newcomers sit. This is where the people work who know how to keep someone on the line while the decision has already been made, but has not been spoken out loud yet. They give you a new login, a new phone, a new list of tasks, and a plastic folder with a 1099 contract that makes everything sound like you are an independent contractor in a legal sales business. You sign it on the hood of your car because the office printer jammed again, and somehow that makes the whole thing feel dirtier. The supervisor, who people now call by his real name instead of a nickname, puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "Now you're not just calling. Now you close." The work becomes quieter and heavier, less shouting, more pauses, more screens, more numbers, more responsibility for the result. You bring 2 phones home, turn one off before bed, and leave the other face down. The woman you started seeing again notices that you keep looking at notifications all the time, that you leave the bathroom door open even in the shower, and that you go silent the second she walks into the kitchen. On Friday, they do not hand you an envelope for the first time. They hand you a cut. You sit in your car in the Publix parking lot, sorting the money into stacks, and suddenly notice a police cruiser nearby. It is just sitting there, nothing is happening. But your throat goes so dry it feels like you swallowed sand. You still drive to the mall, buy yourself a decent jacket, a new belt, and dinner somewhere you used to walk right past. In the dressing room mirror, you catch your own reflection and realize you still look like a man waiting for a knock at the door. Level 5. The problem does not come from outside, it comes from inside. One of the older guys stops answering his phone, and by noon everyone is told to clear out personal items, delete messages, carry boxes of cheap phones out the back door, and stop asking questions. The office goes quiet all at once, like a classroom after a fight. You watch the manager rip paper apart with his hands, the girl from the next room cry without ruining her mascara, and a guy in a baseball cap carry a monitor out in a trash bag. In the parking lot, somebody pushes a key into your hand for a small storage unit and asks you to just help until tonight. Inside are shelves, plastic bins, stacks of documents, laptops with no stickers, and a box with your fake name written on it in marker. You stand in front of it longer than you should. That evening, when the manager asks you to run one payment through your personal bank account for a couple of hours, because everything else is frozen, you already know what you are supposed to say. No. In front of your eyes are the car insurance bill, the notice about rent going up, the message from your mother saying your stepfather got worse, and that same shoebox of money at home that stopped being backup a long time ago and became normal. You agree. You photograph your license, send your information, sit in the car outside the bank while the numbers in the app change, Then drive to another branch, pull part of it out, stuff the cash into a black backpack, and deliver it to the back lot of a shopping center. After that, you feel physically cold, even though it is a hot Florida evening outside. When you get home, there is a new electric bill by the door. You pick it up, look at your name on it, and understand there is no road back anymore. Now your real life is inside this scheme, not through your voice, but through documents. Level 6. After that, everything starts coming apart in small ways, not with a raid, not with sirens, just with a dozen little cracks that can no longer be covered with a joke. The bank asks you to verify transactions. Your card dies at a stoplight and does not start on the first try. The woman you are seeing finds the second phone in the bathroom and does not make a scene. She just sets it on the sink and asks who you are if you even sleep facing the door at night. At work, everyone talks quieter, but smokes faster. The hallway smells not like coffee anymore, but like marker ink and fear. The manager changes office numbers, tells everybody to come in by different routes, and for the first time you catch yourself checking mirrors not like a driver, but like a man afraid he is being followed. The break comes in the middle of the day. One call goes to the wrong place. On the line is not an elderly man, but his grown daughter. She does not yell. She starts asking short, precise questions, and you can feel your palm getting wet on the mouse. You try to stick to the script. She cuts you off, says the office address, the company's old name, and the last name of the man who got arrested a week ago. Somebody behind you sees your screen and slams the disconnect button. For 1 second, the room goes so quiet you can hear the phone on the next desk vibrating against the surface. They pull you into a back room, hand you a bottle of water, and tell you to take a couple of days to get some air. You leave through the back door, sit down on the concrete curb behind the building, and stare for a long time at ants moving around a cracked paper cup. Then you open your banking app and see a hold on the funds. You go home with a bag of ice for whiskey, but no bottle, and no explanation for why. What is inside you now is not fear of earning less, but fear that you will not figure out who you are supposed to be when this is over. Level 7. You move not because of the romance of a new life, but because there is nobody left to hold the old one together. The woman leaves, taking 2 bags and the coffee machine. You cannot carry the rent on the apartment alone anymore, and within 3 days you are in a long motel by the highway that smells like bleach, frying oil, and damp carpet. Your things fit in the trunk, your clothes hang on a rack by the air conditioner, and instead of a real desk, you have an ironing board with a laptop, receipts, and a bottle of painkillers on it. The work has not stopped. It has just spread out. Today, they call you into a co-working space. Tomorrow, it is a car in the parking lot of an outlet mall. The day after that, it is a house on the edge of town with the blinds shut even in daylight. Nobody says the company anymore. Everybody says the people. You start doing everything yourself. Answering, transferring calls, checking statuses, picking up the crumbs from other people's failures. They pay you more for it, but you sleep less. Your eyes are red, your neck hurts from the constant tension, and on the motel nightstand the parking wristbands, gas receipts, and plastic key cards keep piling up. One night, an old coworker texts you. He got pulled over for a broken tail light, they found something in the car, and now he is sitting in county jail looking for somebody to post bond. You read it sitting on the edge of the bed in your socks, with the television on and the sound muted. In the morning, the manager tells you to stop by the storage unit and move 1 more box, just in case. You roll the door up, see the same familiar bins inside, and suddenly cannot take a step. Your heart is pounding in your temples, sweat is running down your back, and the hand holding the key starts to shake. That is your breaking point. Not beautiful, not dramatic, just pathetic and physical. You shut the storage door, get into the car, and for the first time drive not to work, but to the office of a public defender, just to find out what the word deal sounds like when it is about you. Level 8. The arrest does not happen in any cinematic way. No door kicked in, no chase across rooftops. You walk out of the motel in the morning with a bag of ice and a bottle of cheap water. See 2 ordinary sedans, 2 people in shirts, and a woman holding a folder. One of them tells you not to reach into your pocket. Another says your real name, which by now you hear less often than the fake one. The bag drops, the ice skids across the asphalt, and the water bottle rolls under somebody else's car. They turn you toward the hood. The cold metal presses into your palms. People with suitcases walk past, and nobody even looks surprised. The car, with the cage in back, smells like vinyl and old coffee. You look at your knees, at the mark from the cuffs, at the chipped paint on the door handle, and realize how ordinary a life looks when it falls apart. Then come the hours that make your back go numb. Fingerprint ink, mugshot, plastic tray, belt in a bag, shoelaces separate, a metal bench that is impossible to sit on comfortably. The public defender talks fast, without judging you and without comforting you. The investigator lays out printouts of transactions, numbers, timelines, photos of the storage unit, your own messages, and never raises his voice once. That makes it worse. When he gets to the transfer through your bank account, something inside you drops away. Not because it is the first time you have seen proof, but because it is the first time you have seen your real name next to that world in black and white. That evening, in the cell, you eat a gray dinner off a plastic tray, listen to someone coughing behind the wall, and touch the chip in your tooth with your tongue, the one you kept meaning to get fixed. You are not a hero, not a predator, not a victim of the system. You are just a man who spent too long thinking bad things happen in pieces, not all at once through one door closing behind him. Level 9. The deal comes in a folder as thick as a magazine. They release you on conditions, and freedom turns out not to be freedom at all, but a schedule. Morning means the probation office, where the hallway smells like printer toner and wet jackets. Daytime means mandatory meetings, forms, signatures, calls where you confirm your address, your job, and attendance in the program. Evening means a warehouse on the edge of town, a night shift through an agency, an orange vest, a scanner, and boxes that cut your palms with cardboard. There is no ankle monitor on your leg, but it feels like there is. You are always thinking about time, route, gas receipts, about how you cannot be late anywhere now because even a small mistake has become official. On the phone, your mother is silent at first, then asks whether you have eaten. Not, how could you? Just, have you eaten? That makes you feel worse than court did. You rent a room from an older veteran in the suburbs. What fits in there is a mattress, a folding table, 2 bags of clothes, and a plastic box full of paperwork. Plea agreement. Fines. The medical bill from the jail clinic. Payment schedule. Sometimes you wake up before the alarm because in your sleep you hear the headset again and the phrases you said hundreds of times. At the warehouse, a guy from the next line recognizes you not from the news, but from your voice. Says you have a phone kind of voice. You freeze for a second, then keep wrapping the pallet in plastic like nothing happened. That is the new shape of punishment. Nobody is watching you every minute, but your old life is still living in your throat, and every day you have to choose not a road upward, but the next simple, honest step that will not collapse under your feet. Level 10. Now everything is quieter, not easier, quieter. You wake up at 5 in the morning because of the garbage truck outside the window, make cheap coffee, stand at the sink in a gray t-shirt, and watch the water slowly wash the foam off the spoon. Before work, you check the calendar with the payments on it. Fine. Room rent, car insurance, what is left of the money you owe your mother. On the wall by the table are not motivational notes, but 2 real sheets of paper. Your shift schedule and the dates of your meetings with the probation officer. You live through short, dull actions. Make the bed, fold the work clothes, throw the lunchbox onto the passenger seat. Stand in line for gas. Scan boxes, unload a truck. Eat in the car outside the house at night because you do not have the strength for conversation anymore. And still, now and then, the old impulse rises up inside you. Fast money, easy shortcuts. That familiar feeling of control through your voice. It did not disappear, you just know the price of it by touch now. One day, after your shift, an unknown number calls. You look at the screen longer than usual, then answer anyway. Wrong number. That is all, just a wrong number. But for another minute after that, your hand is still gripping the phone too hard. You sit in the warehouse parking lot, diesel engines humming around you, dust visible on the windshield in the orange light from the pole lamp. And for the first time in a long while, you do not try to run from the silence. At the beginning of this life, you thought the worst thing was running out of money. Then you thought it was getting caught. Now you understand something else. The worst thing is when one day you get used to turning someone else's trust into your own everyday comfort. That changes not your day, not your job, but the shape of your soul. You start the car, pull out slowly, with no music, and drive home along the dark freeway, not like a man who won or lost everything, but like someone who has to carry every day the price of what he once agreed to become.